I'm back here with the OpenLabeling tool. On the previous video, I was just introducing this label tool, some of the features that it had. But I'm going to go into more depth into using this tool to help you continue your labeling efforts for your machine learning projects. One of the features that OpenLabeling has is the ability to not only process video, but if you go into the web page here, you could also specify the video when it's tracking the video, which formats or tracker type to use. This Siamprium is an extension, which I might not go into, but I'm primarily going to show these Mossy. I think I'm getting faster results with the Mossy, but I'm going to show also what this means, and one of the ones that I wanted to talk about was this how to use a deep learning feature to help you with your labeling. On the example here, it talks about that you can download an existing model, and on the code it has that reference to that model, and it can start doing some labeling for you. So, but in my case here for this project, I have couple projects going, and I'm going to be focusing on my flag detector, primarily the U.S. and Texas flag, and I'm going to be showing you as an example how that runs, how I used it, and how I'm going to continue to use this tool. And the reasons why I'm going to use this tool is because there's another application that HowTo built, and I'm going to tie in those two, and hopefully it'll demonstrate to you why I'm using these tools versus the other ones. So real quick, when you're doing the video, it processes the videos and extracts the images. This is one of the things that I am having a difficult time with this tool, because it extracts every single images in order to build a tracking database. I would just say data set to track the labeling efforts within the application, and it is time consuming. What I have done is pre-process the video. I actually took all the frames that don't have the flag, and combine all the videos together and make one video sequence, and that's what I'm going to be showing you guys next. So, but anyways, when you go in, I'm trying to understand how it predicts the next frame's labels, and when I press the key P, and then it goes and actually auto tracks and labels it for you, how the whole feature works. So I'm still studying that. Like I said, I'm not going to do this one yet. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's a fast tracker. As I read it, that's what I'm understanding it, but it's a lot of time to set that up. But here it goes. It's a distractor awareness. CMSC networks for visual object tracking. But anyways, I'm gonna show you here. When you go into the command prompt here, you're gonna type the main Python script and put H for help. It'll spit out your requirements to give the inputs. So for my project, I give it the inputs where the images are residing, and where the outputs, in my case, I'm using XML files, where those are going to go. This thickness is the bounding box. Since my images are close, some of them are 4K, ultra high definition images, I tend to mark this as a 2. but it's just the thickness of the bounding box when you look at the images. And of course, if I have smaller images, I just leave it as a default as 1. The tracker, define that as Mossy, and the number of frames to track. So this is one of the biggest one here, is how far do I want the tracker to track. So I normally use anywhere between 75 to 90 frames. And the reason why is that is because I don't want to go beyond that, because then if it starts tracking and the tracker goes off while it's labeling, then that's extra work that I have to do. I mean, it's an easy fix, but it's a constantly running the tracker, and you want to reduce the amount of frames, because once it starts to run, I haven't seen a method to stop the tracker from continuing labeling, auto labeling for you. So this tool, as an OpenLabel tool, name suggests it's everything's free to change as you're needed. What I had done here is pretty much have the main opened up here. What we want to do is go in and do open up the other one, the main auto, which is a separate script, has the same similar code as same code as the is the main script, but the things that I did added to this is to use GPU. I do have a GPU device, and in some PCs that I use here for this auto labeling feature, I disabled this myself. So I go ahead and change the code there. One of the things that I do have is I do process some models. For example, this is another model that I'm working on. I do create my own frozen in references, and I also create for my Paytrade project. And I'm going from 200K training iterations to 300 to 500. As I start adding more images, it starts to improve the detection process, and I'm going to show you that video as I'm running it. And it's not quite perfect yet, so as I add more and more images, I'm going to create frozen inferences graphs, and this is where I will define the new updates, and then I will go and process the images, new images, to help me label and go from there. So main dot PI is to open up a GUI so you can do a manual labeling and process video. The main auto dot PI used to actually use a modeled train set that you might have done. For example, you may have done like a couple of thousand images using this method here, started your TensorFlow training, and once you had that training, you do a frozen inference. Then you can do the remaining, let's say 10,000 images. You may have 10,000 images that you can use the first initial 1,000 to go in there and detect, or do a high level detection. It doesn't have to be very accurate, but you'll get my drift as you see the videos. So with that, I'm going to show you first this manual underscore auto video where it goes in and it's labeling certain things, and you're going to see where it's not detecting. So as you can see, I have my trained and inference graphs, both for a GPU and CPUs. I have other videos that explain my network setup and the computers that I have. For example, I have a laptop that has a GPU, so I'll create an instance for the GPU, and then I have an instance for the CPU. But anyways, when you go to open auto label here, you go into the main folder, you open up the main underscore auto Python script. What we will find here is that I have the Patrix flags, 200k iterations, and this is my 5th version run this training set. And when I execute this script, it automatically will load this up. And when it loads it up, it'll actually do the same or similar functions that the main script does. The only exception is that it's fully automated. It'll even execute the GUI interface that comes up. For example, this one right here, and it'll actually label. If it detects a label, it'll actually label it for you. So one of the things that you need to pay attention with this script is that it calls a configurations INI file. And on this configurations INI file is also resides in this folder here, which is right here. And I'm going to open and edit that. And one of the parameters or attributes that you have to give with the value is object score threshold. And my goal is that on my the model that I'm using here is that I want to make sure that it has 80% confidence level that it detects a flag. So if it's not 80%, maybe when I increase the model images, as more images and more images are introduced, I'll increase level to 90 and up to as close to 95 for but this is one of the parameters you have to pass. And the other one is these object IDs. In my case, I have a 0 base 0, 1, and the reason why I have to give it a 0 is because with TensorFlow is a 0 base count, and it has to start with 1, right? I'm sorry. This Python script here, if I'm not mistaken, is a 0 base count, but TensorFlow indexing, when you do the model detection indexing, null value or none or 0 is an index number given where it does not, there's no label exists. So the actual first label starts with the index number 1. So I have to give a label for this value here for this particular script to run successfully. So one of the things that I had done as part of my class list here is my 0 is not underscore used, and my number 1 index number on this config file is a 1, is flag, the label flag, and that is to sync up what I'm getting from the TensorFlow model with this script to work successfully. So, and another way to see this is if I was to bring up the GUI, you can see the class here is 1, and you see the flag is color blue, and not used is color red. So not used, I mean that label is not being used at all for the use of this tool here, but flag is the one that I like to have. So keep in mind on that script. Another way that I'm using this script is that HowTo has another application. If you look at his repository and what he's sharing, he has another repository called map, which is his application scripts that have means average precisions, and it's a code that evaluates the performance of the neural network for object detection. This is a very good script. There are some requirements. I will review this with you guys later on and how I'm using this and for the discussions, but you guys can go back and reference that. So the script that I have for this open labeling is helping me fit into that one. And I guess I'll do a separate video on that, but regress. Let me go back to the labeling part. All right, on this part of the video, I'm demonstrating the main_auto Python script. It's running using a TensorFlow model that I created for the flags. And you can see it will detect some of the frames, and on some of the frames it does not detect any of the flags. There's two flags that I'm focusing right now on, the American flag and the Texas flag. So with this seed model that has gone through 200,000 steps of training, there is room for improvement. Later on in the video, I'm gonna go discuss about after the auto labeling is complete, how to manually make corrections and then use the video editing feature to help you with the tracking and labeling efforts, the manual process with this tool. And then I'll be submitting that for training, and maybe part 2 of this video will be showing you the results of 400K based on the 3 videos. I think it's 3 or 4 videos that have processed so far with the flags since my 200K training. What I'll do is I'm going to speed up this video a little bit faster because this is running TensorFlow CPU on i7 that does not have GPU, so it's a little bit slow. But it's my label worker. I set it up. I have 3 of them. I set it up, and they do the labeling for me. I just post-process the information on my workstation. All right, so I'll pick it up where I left off. I'll pick it up after this is done, and then come right back with you guys. By this point, I might have already showed you the video on the machine learning model being loaded, and then it's actually doing the automatic labeling. And what happens is that sometimes the model is not trained. It hasn't gotten to enough training to be able to get an 80% confidence level. So what that leaves with me is that I need to manually label some of these videos, right, on my own manually. So with that, I definitely execute the main.python script on the command line here. So I will execute it like so, like Python main. I'll give it, because I know the size of my images are pretty big, so I'm going to give it with a thickness of 2. I will define my input folder, where the images are located, and then I'll put folder that would be output where XML files will be saved, followed by the tracker, which is the MOSI. I use the MOSI, followed by the number of frames, which is right now I'm using 90 frames. This frames here is, for example, this is a video sequence in the background here. So right now I'm at 668, but if you go over here, this video has 4,254 images, and they're of different they're different times of the video frames. So what I wanted, again, like I was trying to describe you, is I just wanted to do 90 frames at a time to label following the image sequence of that video, of the video frames, so I can review, make sure that the tracking is going okay. Then after that, I can delete it from the point of that frame and then readjust the label and let it continue automating, helping me label. So what I do here is I had already did the auto label on the image, tracking the flags right here. And you see how it's set off, it lost tracking right there. What I do is I put another label here. So you give it a starting point and an end point, and you press the letter P, and it starts to track. And you see the tracking is not very good because there's a lot of noise in that image right there. So we're just gonna go here, and let's say we're just gonna keep those frames, and we're gonna right click to delete the rest of the labeling that it had done. And then we're gonna readjust that label and press P again, and it lost tracking. So from there, I think we're just gonna leave it like that. I think we're losing too much data or too much definition of the flag there. I'm gonna wait to see if it gets to another frames. Okay, so here's another scene where I'm driving through a neighborhood, and I'm gonna press P once again and let it track, and you can see it's tracking the flag, and it's starting to veer off a little bit to the right of the flag. So, and again, it's just because the background noise and the flag is getting too big. So I'm gonna wait about right there. I'm gonna right click that to delete those other frames, and I'm gonna readjust this to be about this big, and let it run again. And again, this is actually real good in labeling and helping with the labeling efforts. Mine is not mission critical that I have to be so precise. I'm going to introduce higher quality images. Right there, lost track. I'm pressing P, but sometimes it doesn't pick up. I need to investigate why that's happening. Not sure. Maybe reach out to the developer to find out why when I press P it does not track from there on. You see it only took 2 frames there. So this tool does help, but sometimes it has its unknowns. There's no messaging here, no status that I see as to the reasons why it's only doing a select few frames. It would be nice that that feature is there. For example, there, I press, it's not tracking for whatever reason. I'm not sure if it's the bounding box does not have enough information for it to start tracking, and or there's not enough features on the image to reliably track what I'm trying to capture, right? See, it's only doing 2 frames. So sometimes it works fine, sometimes not sure what is causing that. So let's just finish these out manually. So you can see how tedious this will be to do a whole entire video sequence. And keep in mind this is 30 frames per second. And I'm not being precise here manually, right? But for now, I think doing it this way will be okay. The biggest thing that I'm looking for this particular project is to be able to detect the flag. Right, so another scene. The flag, I believe, is right here. So we're gonna start by giving it about that much and press P. Again, this is another image sequence that for some reason it's not picking up. There you go. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not 100% sure why. I haven't gone into that in depth on the script, but I'll take what it offers for now. All right, so I am okay with that selection. So one of the things that I would like to point out is that when you are using this feature, it's best to focus on one label. I had tried different ways to do multiple labeling boxes or bounding boxes, and it's hard to track. So here's another one right here, the flag. And we're gonna let it track. That one did pretty good. I'm gonna keep that. Back up a bit. There's a frame. Okay, it didn't track that. Let's see, will it track that? There you go. I know I'm grabbing more of the background than the actual frame. You can see some of the labels already there from the previous. So I'm going to delete that, keep that. All right, I'm going to keep those. There's another one right here. Those are some of the labels that I have already done. So we're going to move on. And let's see, I skipped one there, right there. This is a neighborhood that I drove in. But anyways, I hope that this shows and demonstrate this too. There's another labeling too that I'm going to do a demonstration of. And I'm hoping that this helps with your labeling efforts. So, for example, we're going to do this one, and I'm going to show you how to do too. Like, for example, this one has the American and the Texas flag, right? I'm going to press. You see, it didn't like that. So I'm not sure why it doesn't. So there's one track for that one, which would do all 90 frames. There's another one. So you see it's veering off a little bit to the left. So this, you see that this labeling here was done by the machine learning, so it was there but not accurate. The only thing that I don't like also about the tool is that I can adjust by adjusting the points here, right? But let's see here. I cannot move the entire box. That's the thing that I was looking for, at least for a feature, right? Is that I would like to move the entire box, like over here, instead of making the adjustments individual to the points there in the box. But let's see how this grows again. The flag grows. So keep track of both of the flags. Let me redo these. And it's just a matter of making adjustments because the flags are moving around, right? Alright guys, I had to stop the previous recording and re-record the audio. What I was getting into is that this tool is great with the video labeling tool, and I just want to make sure it's without its its quirks in there, but it's a good tool to help you with the labeling. The machine learning does have the ability to detect, and I describe it in the videos, but I didn't want to prolong too much. I'm already going in at 30 minutes on this video, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this video in two parts. I'm going to speed up so you can see the rest of the video in high speed, and then the second part that's going to come out is I'm going to inject these video frames into the training and redo the labeling. Another video set using the at least 400,000 steps of training after processing these videos that you're seeing right now, and see how much improvements we're seeing detecting the American flag. So with that, if you like the video, please hit the like button. If you have any comments, suggestions, or questions, please visit my blog. I do not comment or read the comments on the YouTube discussion forums. So if you want to reach out to me, the best thing to do is visit my blogs. I'll have the link provided on the description of this video. Thank you so much for joining. I hope this is helpful for you in your labeling efforts.